Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry, a fan channel where everything Dragalia Lost can be found. This video is going to be my look at this month in Dragalia Lost for the month of June 2021. In case you're not aware, this month in Dragalia Lost is a news post where the game's director, Okada, talks to us about what's to come for the month ahead and often teases things about the game's future as a whole. So in this video, we're basically going to read through that news update. I'll give my thoughts and impressions on everything that's announced, and I'll also use this as sort of an opportunity to check in, let y'all know how Dragalia Lost has been going for me, some of the things I'm excited about, what I've been up to lately, and hopefully in the comments below, I can hear from y'all about what you've been doing as well, and what you're looking forward to this month, and for the future of the game as a whole. Not gonna lie, I've been very disengaged with Dragalia lately. I would say this is one of the biggest lulls I've felt in the game's lifespan as far as my interest in the game. I think that's due to a combination of different reasons. One of them is that there's a lot more stamina than we've had in the past. There haven't been a lot of wing outlets. We've had a lot of double drops. There's just been a lot to grind if you want to min-max and try use all your stamina and gather wings optimally, and I feel a little bit fatigued from that, having already farmed up all of the Agito weapons, all of the Sinister Dominion worm prints, and finished the weapon bonuses, finished the facilities in the Howletum outside the Rupee mines. I just feel like I've needed a break for a while, and now I have a break opportunity, but there's these lucrative farming events that keep happening, like double drops in the campaign for Draconic Essences, or double drops for Agito for extra weapon copies, and it's just a lot. It's a good time to catch up in Dragalia, but as somebody who's been with it since the beginning, I feel that fatigue setting in, so I've had to take a little bit of a break, dial it back a little bit for my own sake, I think, and my own interest. But outside of that, I would also add that, thankfully, around the world, and particularly here in the United States, depending on your region, conditions are improving as relate to the pandemic. So there are more opportunities to do other things that have been inaccessible. And so I think the role or the void that Dragalia sort of filled as a daily activity is starting to diminish in importance a little bit. Over the past year, Dragalia has definitely been a welcome part of my routine where I like that structure of having something to do every single day. And at this point, I think that structure has started to feel a little bit more like a chore or a burden. So to be candid, that's kind of where I'm at with Dragalia lately. Some of the new additions like the Trials of the Mighty, this event that's happening right now, the Invasion event, Children of Yggdrasil, it just feels like stuff to do to kind of check off a box, but I don't really take a lot of joy in doing it right now. I have not checked out Legend, Ayaha, and Atoha yet. I did not participate in the previous time attack that just happened outside of dailies and kind of minimal effort in that. And I still haven't cleared Yaldabaoth on Master difficulty in co-op, so there's a lot of content that I feel like I'm kind of sitting on and maybe saving up for the future for when I am in the mood to really dive into Dragalia wholesale. But as of late, it just feels like it's a little repetitive to me. I'm waiting for something that feels a little bit more fresh and interesting. Same deal with the Alberian Battle Royale and having to do that every month. So that's honestly kind of where I'm at right now. It just feels like more of a chore than anything to burn through my daily allotment of stamina and my daily allotment of gather wings and to try play optimally. It's gotten to the point that some of y'all commented at this on my previous video where I was showing Mars's trial that my team was not very good. That was very much the result of not feeling like putting in the effort to actually build a proper team. It just feels like every trial having different restrictions. I don't want to constantly be updating my teams. It just feels like too much work when a bad team can still successfully auto. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm not unhappy, but I'm just kind of like keeping a distance and allowing myself some space to get back to that place that I really enjoy the game at. And I think it's kind of a welcome break. So yeah, that's really where things are with me lately. let's take a look at this month in Dragalia Lost and walk through some of this together and see if there is not something on the horizon that is going to potentially turn that interest around. So starting off here, we have a recap of the Children of Yggdrasil invasion event. It's our first ever invasion event, which should be something to highlight and celebrate, I think, especially this long into the game's lifespan. The fact that we're getting a new event type, that is pretty interesting to me. But having played through it, I do feel that it's sort of a pared down event compared to some of the marquee events that we normally get at the end of a month. We usually get either a raid or facility event, and admittedly, this isn't too different than a facility event. The main difference being that you don't actually get an event boosting facility, and the scoring is a little bit different with how it works. But I think compared to some of the raid events we've gotten, it feels like a little bit lower production compared to when you actually have an original raid boss to fight. Now, it's been a while since we had an event like that because we've gotten some reskinned raid bosses, so I will say that in that context, this feels more fresh than it might otherwise. But overall, just battling the waves of enemies, it didn't really do a whole lot for me, even if the scoring system is new. It just sort of felt like more of the same. Probably the best thing to come out of it for me is this super awesome looking Cerise alt, the music for the event. Isaac seems like a cool character. As far as the story goes, I'm going to wait to post a video with my full reactions to this event, probably around the 3rd, because I think that's when the final harder difficulty trials and invasion challenge releases. But basically my impression on the story is I was really surprised by Luca's behavior, didn't love the deforestation that took place. Yeah, that's kind of a synopsis of how I felt. Surprised as well that Cerise adapted so quickly to the Sylvan traditions that she was presented with. That's just a really quick set of thoughts on the story, but overall, this event is cool. I'm glad that they tried it. I wouldn't say that I'm clamoring for more invasion content or really even more facility content. I feel like most of what I do in this game now is just auto battle, and I want ways to spend Gather Wings rapidly, easily. That's kind of what I want to do. If I'm going to be in Dragalia maintenance mode, then I want something where I can chunk out 4 wings at a time relatively easily. One thing I like about raid events, you can just play co-op by yourself. You don't have to have anybody join your lobbies. You can make a private room, burn through 2 wings, and you spend your wings, and it's a way of kind of managing them. With this, there is actually a co-op component, and I do want to point that out because I missed that completely at first, and the first clear endeavors and Wormite for that are different than for the main event, but you spend 1 wing at a time. It is quick, so you could do that repeatedly to spend all your wings, but yeah, it's just 1 wing at a time. You have 12 wings. At max, you get 24 wings in a day if you're sort of playing optimally, as I try to kind of keep up with and do. So it just feels like too slow a method of getting rid of wings. So for me, that's really been where Trials of the Mighty come in. Like, I don't enjoy Trials of the Mighty, but I don't want to waste my Gatherwing natural regen, so I'll just go do Trials of the Mighty because it's easy and it's pretty much a guaranteed clear depending on the trial. With Mars's week, that was kind of an exception. You didn't always clear depending on the co-op team that you got. Now that we're back to Poseidon, I feel like it's pretty much a guarantee. So yeah, this is interesting. I mean, invasion events seem cool, but there's part of me that wonders, are we just scaling back with Dragalia as a whole? Is this a lesser event than what we've had before? And I say that also bearing in mind that when you think about it, we haven't gotten any new castle stories. We have a treasure trade now for looking glasses. We have Fire Emblem in the Compendium, a 3rd event never arrived. It just feels like we're building toward a conclusion, in my mind at least, where Agito's on double drops now all the time. We have High Dragons on double drops. There's so much more in way of catch up, and I think in the new content, it's a lot easier to clear out completely. Like, just experimenting to try set up a successful auto Yaldabaoth expert team, in experimenting, I ended up finishing the entire farm that I wanted to do for that. So for me at this point, the only things I really have to work toward are like extra copies of Agito weapons, rupee mines, levels, and maybe extra copies of High Dragon weapons if I really wanted them. And a few of the worm prints from the Sinister Dominion for the final few copies of them. But yeah, I don't know, it just, the lower production along with some of the other auxiliary things that make it a lot easier to catch up, I think they're overdue, so that could just be the reason that they've arrived and made it more accessible to all players. But it also makes me feel like there's a sense of finality, like you're liquidating the shop right now because something's going to come for the 3rd anniversary that I don't know. But yeah, I don't know that that's the case. That's just kind of like the vibe I've felt lately. It might also coincide with my own sense of distance to the game. So anyway, that's just one thought I wanted to share. Let's move on here. The showcase right now features Mascula and Cerise. I have not summoned on this showcase yet, but I probably will if Cerise isn't featured on the second one. She does have a unique Battle Royale skill, so just when I thought I was going to put my Battle Royale series to bed, we immediately get another adventure with a unique Battle Royale skill. That is the main reason I want to summon on this showcase, is just to try her out. I don't really have a need for either of these characters, but it has been a while since I've summoned. Mascula looks really cool. Cerise, love the outfit. I don't think I really need her as an adventure, but with her being in the Battle Royale and having a unique skill, I probably will try pull for her tomorrow. But I'm going to wait and see, because tomorrow we'll also get details on our upcoming banner, and this one does look pretty sweet. So we have Isaac, likely to be a light bow, and Raphael here, likely to be, presumably, a light dragon. Raphael's design was revealed earlier this week in a Dragalia Minis comic on Twitter, but we saw only her chibi design. So now seeing her full design, really love it. She has the same, I guess, presence, the same power in her appearance that I get from Rosarda. But it's interesting, I think there's going to be a fun dynamic here, because with Rosarda, there's sort of a quiet power to her, right? She is not the most talkative, she's not the most verbose, she is a little bit reserved, yet beneath that shyness there is this well of power and the desire to do good. Raphael, I get the opposite vibe just based on her smile. I think she kind of has that same gentle giant type of energy, but she seems a lot more gregarious, a lot more outgoing. So I'm looking forward to learning more about her. It's a little unfortunate the way dragon stories are. Like, I don't know that that's the medium in which a dragon with this type of personality will most shine. But when I think about Ramiel's dragon story, Gabriel's dragon story even, I really did like them. So I'm looking forward to hers. And in addition, I do kind of want to summon her, because my dream summon at the end of last month was actually Varus. So I made it a point to try get him, because I wanted all the Apostle characters, given their connection to the Sinister Dominion plotline. So it was a tough decision. I picked him over Formal Hakim in the end. But now that I have him, and I have Gabriel, Rosarda, Pinon, Nevin, Ramiel, I really want Raphael as well. So I will consider summoning on this one, but I don't imagine she'll likely be better than Gala Reborn Jeanne d'Arc. And when it comes to Isaac, I just don't see myself really having a great need for him. Sure, eventually we will get Legend Tartarus. That is the only Legend trial that's missing at this point, and we will probably get another Sinister Dominion battle at some point where you use Light Adventures in the second half. So that's an application for Isaac and Raphael where they may be useful. But for now, I don't really see them getting a whole lot of play. I don't think the content that they're used in is super active at the moment. Moving on from that banner, new bosses will continue to appear in Trials of the Mighty. Until now, players have faced a single boss in combat, but in the upcoming Shadow Legion's trial, players will have to defeat multiple enemies in large-scale battles akin to the Imperial Onslaught. You can get materials to unlock Summer Verica's Mana Spiral from this, and Agni's Trial and Jeanne d'Arc's Trial are also coming. You can get materials to unlock Gala Laxi and Gala Luca's Mana Spirals from that. So the staggered release of these Mana Spirals, the way that you have to grind up to them, Also not loving it. I kind of want to just finish one mana spiral at a time, but the way that Trials of the Mighty are structured, it's intended to prevent that as well as to sell the double drops pack. So right now, all I've really invested in is just whatever's available that week. Gala Yuden's a little bit more advanced, and this time that we had a choice between Poseidon and Zephyr, I basically just went with Poseidon all the way to power up my Gala Elisan, because I thought I might need her to beat Ayaha and Toha. Let's go ahead and hop out here just for a second to check it out, because we got a Trials of the Mighty calendar for all of June, so we can take a look at that. We have the Shadow Legion's trial, where you can use light bows, wands, and staffs. We have Agni's trial coming up, which has lance, bow, manicaster, and staff. Interesting that you get 4 there. And then Jeanne d'Arc, blade, bow, manicaster, and staff, you also get 4. And then Kamui is going to make a return, but it looks like they're adding bow to Kamui, right? This was not a thing before, I don't think, because I remember having like a 3 lance auto battle team. So I guess they decided that manicaster isn't a deep enough pool to have people use that as the only weapon type. And then sword, wand, and staff are coming back for Gala Thor, of course. So yeah, more of the Trials of the Mighty. I kind of expressed my feelings toward them. I don't love how you have to do all mana spirals this way, pretty much. Like all new mana spirals since Trials of the Mighty has come out have been through this system. And for characters like Summer Verica or Yukata Cassandra or Nurse Eileen, like it just doesn't feel like they fit into this system to me. I'd rather they just have a regular spiral and save these Trials of the Mighty for the Gala adventures. It just feels like a more cohesive collection. So aesthetically, in that sense, I don't really love what's going on here. The other thing, not gonna lie, is I just feel like I'm too lazy to build all these separate teams. Like it's a lot of effort for low difficulty content. So I don't know if the optimize button works for this. I haven't tried it yet, but like that might honestly be what I do for Shadow Legion's trial, and hopefully it works out for me. The fact that it's an Imperial Onslaught boss is also kind of underwhelming. I wasn't a huge fan of Zephyr and Poseidon returning, even though their battle styles are a bit different than in the Void battles. It's just that because we already have those Void battles, I'd prefer if Trials of the Mighty were all unique enemies that were part of the story, let's say, but didn't have another trial already out there. So probably one of the favorites for me has been Chthonius, for example, because that was present in the story, but we didn't have another opportunity to really battle Chthonius. I think Mars, despite the challenge level, and Thor kind of fit that mold as well. So I've liked those. Kamui even, I would give Kamui credit for that. You don't really fight Kamui in the Void battles, obviously, so it's cool to get to battle him. So I would have preferred if maybe some of the other unique bosses from the story came in here, such as Laxi, for example. That'd be kind of a cool fight to have, and maybe they don't want to do that because they're sticking with the theme here of dragons, but then when you look at Shadow Legion's trial, that sort of breaks the mold there. So I'm really not sure. Maybe they just need more of them because they want these other mana spirals for Yukata Cassandra, Nurse Eileen, Summer Verica. Notably, healers are the ones that are getting these mana spirals. And that's why they have just like so many of these random ones. I'd kind of prefer there were just fewer and it wasn't repeated bosses with new play patterns from the Void battles. I think that would also be a good way of getting through the ones that exist on a more frequent basis so that we could actually fully mana spiral them more quickly. That's my take on Trials of the Mighty. Okay, let's get back to this month in Dragalia Lost. An Onslaught event will be held in mid-June with Tobias appearing in a pretty fancy getup. It seems he's acting on someone's special orders, but you have to play the event to discover the details. And we'll also mention this here, part 1 of chapter 20 of the main campaign will be added in late June, and with it a new area called the Sacred Tree. Okay, so this is actually something that I am pretty excited about. The latest campaign update was very hype for me. I really liked it a lot compared to the previous updates, and I felt like It was very generous in the amount of lore that it dropped on us, the amount of plot threads that are coming together, the parties that are converging. It also is one of those things that makes me wonder, are we nearing the conclusion of Dragalia Lost? Just because it feels like, at the very least, we're nearing the conclusion of the current arc. And depending on how much time the developers want to spend on the next arc, perhaps the one that involves the Sinister Dominion, well, depending on that, we could see a wrap-up. Like, Chapter 21 would, in my mind, be a satisfactory place to wrap up some of the main story points, or even maybe Chapter 22, like the end of this year, if not the anniversary. So that's kind of my take on things right now. Like, I really like where the campaign is going. I hope that we get resolution. That's what I want more than novelty, more than the introduction of new things. I want to see the things that we know that are out there resolved. And getting this introduction of Tobias, and in particular, we know this is Fae-Blessed Tobias from the Dragalia Digest earlier this year, and his full portrait has Mine in it. This is very significant in terms of wrapping up and giving us more on stuff we already know about. We got in the latest chapter information about Mine's research and writings being passed down and present in the current day, so I think that this is really sweet. I hope that the event is good. It's just an Onslaught event, so my expectations are kind of low for an Onslaught event in the middle of the month, but I think that Tobias is going to be a popular alt. This could be our showcase where we get Gala Leonidas. If not a rerun of a previous Gala, then it's either going to be Leonidas, Not, or Chell, or I guess Mascula, but probably not Mascula. I guess they could also technically feature on a remix just a Gala Dragon and not a Gala Adventure, so that is a possibility too. But I think we'll get Gala Leonidas for this along with Tobias, so I will probably want to summon on this, although at this point, it just feels like an eternity has passed without Gala Leonidas, so part of me wonders, like, if I haven't needed him now, up until this point, should I even try get him, or should I just wait and not summon on Galas and, go ham on the anniversary or something like that? But this should be a fun one. I'm looking forward to this. It could also be a setup event for our next Sinister Dominion boss, because we still really haven't had the next act in that plot line yet. It's a little bit different as far as the branches of the church and what Tobias and Mine are up to compared to the apostles in the north, but I could see those different plot threads intersecting. Okay, so moving on from the campaign and the Onslaught event, a time attack challenges event pitting you against flame-attuned enemies will be held. I'd be very curious to hear what y'all think about the time attack challenges event. One thing I've been wondering a lot is if you preferred it when we could see all of the teams and everything everybody was using, or if you prefer it the last couple of events where it's actually been hidden and you don't know what characters people are using to get the best times. One thing I've heard from the more competitive side of things and the more enfranchised players in Dragalia Lost is they really like the secrecy of time attack challenges in the last two events because they feel like it's important to the competitive integrity. And I definitely can see that. And I think that that is a very valid consideration. If your goal is to try get the highest time, you probably don't want your team shared with others because it's going to put you at a disadvantage. But at the same time, there's part of me that wonders, when you think about the community as a whole, are there people out there that just enjoy seeing these teams and maybe they can't execute fully or implement them exactly? Maybe they have no intention of getting the best times, but part of the experience and part of the fun for this event for them is getting to look at the leaderboards, looking at their own roster, and seeing what they can make work. And so I wonder if the event was not, on net, more positive or more well received before the secrecy change, where you can no longer see other players' teams. I'd be very curious to hear all of y'all's perspectives on that in the comments, because the only players I've really heard from on that are those who are heavily enfranchised are going for the top 1 or 2 spots, or even top 10. And part of me wonders, is Cygames / Nintendo, is Dragalia Lost catering just to the top 100 players with the secrecy move, when more players could be involved and interested just by seeing the updates every day if they decided to roll that back? So I actually have enjoyed Time Attack less since that change was made. I've published what I'm doing in Time Attack, and I feel like, given that it's been strategies that I developed myself, I'm well within my rights to do that. My strategies are also not very good, so it's not like I'm disrupting the upper echelon of competition. But essentially, my question with this is sort of, can we have an event that just caters to the top 1% of the game at the expense of the interest and engagement of the rest of the player base? And maybe the answer is yes. Maybe the answer is yes, in part because those are the players that are willing to wail and go all out to try to get the best clear times for the sake of an epithet. I think for most people, they're happy with Time Attack though, because you just get lots of rupees and free Champion's Testaments and free Eldwater. So it sort of works out in a nice way for them. And there are a lot of players that I've seen that enjoy trying to lower their clear times, even if they have no realistic chance of getting to the top of the top leaderboards. I've seen a lot of players out there that are like, I want to be top 50%. Let me see if I can do it. I haven't played Dragalia that long, but this is a cool event for me. How are y'all doing this? I want to learn and get better at the game. So yeah, it's been a while since I've really commented on Time Attack. I haven't been super involved in the last 2, but just some food for thought, and I'd be curious to hear what you think as well. Okay, so next up, a new boss, Asura, will appear in the Sinister Dominion early next month. This is a design that we've seen in the Dragalia Digest, but cool to see it here with the lighting in the background as well. Just from the body of this character, certainly some light element motifs here that you would think this is going to be at least partially a light element character. Since we've already had, we've had Lilith as a shadow element boss where you use light element adventures. This, I would imagine, is a light attuned boss, so it's going to be the first time we get to use shadow adventurers in the Sinister Dominion. We haven't had shadow present in either phase 1 or phase 2. Should be quite interesting because shadow is very reliant upon their Agita weapon. Or if not reliant upon it, maybe a better way to put that is they have a really good Agita weapon skill that benefits them a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what develops here as far as which adventures are used. Are we going to get to see Vania? Are we going to see more amp action taking place? This is one that I'm looking forward to. I will probably prefer to play Expert than Master. I might have just sunk too much time into Master Lilith to where I don't even touch Yaldabaoth anymore. But this is still one I'm excited about. Besides the light element, the only other thing I'm getting from this picture is maybe a little bit of a water theme. But if I had to guess, this looks like a boss that might be light in phase 1. And, actually, hold on. I was gonna say water in phase 2, but we've already had a fight like that. That's Yaldabaoth. Yaldabaoth is water in phase 2 because you use wind adventurers. So this is interesting. So going back up here, presumably, because we haven't seen any of the other dragons in the Archangel cycle, presumably this is gonna start off as Otherworld or Fallen Raphael, and then transform into Asura. So yeah, I guess light in the in expert difficulty it'll stay light in both phases. In master difficulty it'll start off as light, but it'll start off in this form, Asura's form, and then change into another form. Maybe it could also, we already had Lilith became flame. I was gonna say I could see fire sprouting around this guy. We already had a flame boss in phase 2 in the form of Lilith. We already had water in Phase 2 for Yaldabaoth, so I don't think we'll get shadow, or I don't think we'll get light into light. So we might get light into shadow for Asura. So Phase 2, we'd use light adventurers. And it's very confusing just talking about this, because thinking about the element of the boss versus the element of the teams that you'll use. So what I'm thinking is you'll use shadow in Phase 1 for sure. In Phase 2, you'll either use light, or you'll use not wind. What is the other element that I'm forgetting? Flame. You'll maybe use flame, because we've had flame in Phase 1 but not Phase 2. I don't know. I'm all over the place. I'm a mess talking about this boss. It's early next month, which is interesting. Not end of June. I can't remember if Yaldabaoth was the same pattern. Anyway, let's move on to future updates. Over time, we found that players who want to repeat quests that award materials to level their facilities during facility events are forced to interrupt this loop when an extra boss battle appears. By removing extra boss battles from future facility events, both new ones and those that are added to the event compendium, and adjusting the distribution of rewards, we hope to smooth out this gameplay loop. It's finally happening. Extra boss battles are just gone. No implementation of a solution similar to raid battles where you can just store the extra boss battles. Instead, they're just getting rid of them. So I'm surprised to see this, honestly, with how long this has been going on and how often I feel like this feedback must have come up over the years. Like, this is something since raid events got the stockpiling ability for EX, which I don't think they had immediately. But since that time, this has been a clamoring of people, so it's finally happening. It's another one of those things that gives me a weird sense that Dragalia is like, it's completed now, like it's at its conclusion. You're fixing the facility event loop? I mean, that's something that we wondered from the beginning, so it's weird to see stuff like this to me. It's just kind of surreal. We'll make the daily bonus from various quests more convenient to earn by creating one central location from which players can clear all these quests with just one tap using skip tickets. What? It's just too easy now. All of the things that I complained about feeling like chores, now I just have to save my skip tickets and I'm good to go. And then thanks to your continued passion and support for Dragalia Lost, the game will reach its 1,000-day anniversary on June 21st. That is a cool milestone to celebrate. And they're going to celebrate the momentous milestone and thank the players, so stay tuned for more details. That's a pretty sweet note to end on. It's crazy to think, as much as I've said it, it's crazy to think how much time has passed since I started playing Dragalia Lost. And notably here, there's no mention of what the end of month event will be. Maybe it'll be another raid, maybe it'll be an invasion event, a facility event. Hard to say for sure, it could be another facility event similar to Divine Deception and Agents of the Goddess, and that's why the Sinister Dominion boss is coming out after that instead of at the same time. In conclusion, we get 2 Champions Testaments and 25k Eldwater, and that is going to do it for today, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this look at this month in Dragalia Lost, as well as my musings and ramblings about how I've been feeling with Dragalia Lost lately. I'd definitely be curious to just hear what's been going on with all of you, if you've been enjoying DL lately, if you've been catching up or you have any projects that you're working on. Definitely let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, though, that is going to do it for today, everyone. I will likely be back tomorrow with a Cerise and Mascula summoning session. Thank you as always for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.